way back from visiting a friend who works at Cursor. And Cursor is a company that builds a tool to help engineers use AI to do coding. And just wanted to kind of quickly stream some of my thoughts, having been inside the office, seen the vibe, and got a little sense for what the future is looking like with, in particular, plugins, cloud agents, and the orchestration of systems that humans don't directly control, but kind of indirectly steer. For people who don't work in software engineering or who have never made software, Cursor's rise might be a little bit curious, but the way I can describe it is like if Microsoft Word or Excel switched from being a tool where you actually write the words and fill in the cells to tools where you instruct the service to do these things for you, and how that would affect your workflow. And this is what's giving a lot of people a very kind of spiritual experience with artificial intelligence, because instead of them doing the work themselves, writing all the code out, and checking that it works, they are instructing a tool using AI to go and do that. It almost feels like the difference between laying the bricks yourself, or instructing a bricklayer that's a robot to go and do it for you. And as a result, anyone who's been in the field of software engineering is having this kind of spiritual, messianic, come to the AGI conclusion moment, where they are feeling artificial general intelligence, or AGI, start to take over work that they once previously did extremely manually. And not only is it taking over the work, it's doing it way better than they ever did it. And it's pretty magical, but it's not an experience that everybody is having right now. It's an experience that is kind of reserved for those who are familiar with the nature of software engineering, and it is an experience that will be coming to more people in more fields of work. From my understanding, it's not a profession I've ever practiced in myself. My understanding is a lot of lawyers have had this experience where they used to hire interns to do reviews of documents, and AI is already way better at that than interns ever have been or will be. If you're trying to compare a bunch of statutes to the revisions in a document, before you would have your kind of army of interns burning the midnight oil and giving you kind of red lines and reviews. And you fire up Microsoft Word and try and understand what they've done overnight. That was the general experience of a kind of partner at a law firm. And now you just throw the document into one of the AI systems, and it will happily chug away on it and tell you how it should be. And so this experience has been coming to people in software engineering very rapidly, and it's changed the way people think about software incredibly quickly. There's been a massive, massive shift in how people feel and how people are building, and what it is like to be a software engineer. And in some ways, these folks are now managers of an intelligence that is not human. They are orchestrating agents and models and code bases to generate products that other humans use. And so humans working together with AI are producing services for humans. So almost every app you use, every piece of software you touch, I would imagine that somewhere in their code base now, there is a line or several lines or huge tracts of code that has not been written by human hands typing away, but has been written by AI. And this revolution is not as visible to people who are not involved in software engineering. Um, it's very different, and I also don't know if it's really showing up for people in their everyday life. I'm not sure how many people are aware of software picking up in terms of pace, in terms of shipping speed, in terms of the number of features. But under the hood, teams are getting a lot more done, a lot more quickly, with a lot fewer people. And I think that this will start to show up in the economy with much increasing productivity. And we are seeing that a little bit in the sense of the US's productivity is growing. A lot of that's data center driven in AI, but it's also a bunch of other things that are happening. And the combination of this is this kind of massive growth in efficiency. And we are seeing the nature of software development completely turned on its head. And I think a large part of that change has been because of Cursor. Cursor has done a phenomenal job of bringing together the very best models, the latest practices in software engineering, the latest systems in artificial intelligence, and allowing engineers to manage all of that by adding features, writing new code, reviewing the results of that code, and making progress on the feedback loop between what the user asks for, what the engineer asks for, the code that it generates, the output of that code, whether it be the website, an app, or a news service, and how correctly the system has implemented the request of the engineer. And so you're seeing this kind of gigantic organism build where there is a feedback loop between what humans intend, what they write, the output of the model after it processes this request, and the results of the work, and then the continued stream of requests that come in after that work. And this is making the models more intelligent. So one of the terms that you might see used is reinforcement learning, or RL. And my very high level understanding of this is that you're trying to add a feedback loop into the way artificial intelligence is getting its results. So it's trying to check its work, and it is trying to make sure that it is heading towards its goal. Another area that I heard a lot about at NeurIPS, which is the Neural Information Processing System conference, or one of the largest AI conferences, is this idea of contrastive learning. And again, my high-level understanding of this is that you have used failures in the process to feed information back into the model. So imagine trying to put a red ball in the right box, a blue ball in the left box, and a green ball in the middle box. And if the robot was kind of picking this and making mistakes and not doing this correctly, you wouldn't just keep discarding all of the times that it got this wrong. You would input the failed attempts to do this into the feedback loop for the model, and it would give it information. And I think that's similar to how a child operates. If you have a child who's playing one of those shape games where they have to get the red square, the red cube in the red square, and the star-shaped column in the star-shaped part, you would, as a child, you would be improving your ability to do this by learning from all of your mistakes. And that is my understanding of contrastive learning. And so where contrastive learning and Cursor kind of come together is this notion of the feedback loop for software and all of the mistakes that are made all coming together to improve the system overall. And as a result, we should start to see much higher quality, much more beautiful software coming together. So yeah, that's just something I've been thinking about. And after visiting Cursor's office, it's very inspiring. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Cheers.